Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Hermansson versus Cannonier. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the welterweight division, Nicholas Dalby versus Alex Oliveira. So Dalby is making his return to UFC after a couple years out. Had a on and off kind of stint in his first run in UFC, got cut. Then had to, just make his way back to the UFC. Now he's here. So looking at Dalby versus Oliveira. So Dalby always had some clean strikes, some good foot movement, good solid fighter. I just guess he just missed a couple little things here and there with his style. But yeah, he's a good four-round fighter. Definitely not like a wrestler, a real good grappler, but a pretty solid striker. Not necessarily a power puncher, but he can put the shots in the right spot. Good foot movement and all that stuff. So he's a solid fighter, solid striker. And it's not like he's a slouch in the grappling area. It's just that he's not really known for being a strong grappler or like takedown artist, but he can handle himself in that area. Now going against Alex Oliveira, we got Oliveira, who's just a very unorthodox fighter. Very physically strong, striking. He has some world-class striking. Though it might not be textbook, it's world-class with the way he uses it. Like it might not be what you see in the textbook, but he knows how to use it at a very high level. Long arms. He knows how to tag you. He has a lot of power and very tough to deal with. As a matter of fact, he beat a guy, probably the last guy to beat Dalby outside the UFC. Oliveira stopped him in like under a minute or something like that. So the last guy to beat Dalby outside the UFC, Alex Oliveira stopped him with ease, but this is not MMA math, but I'm going to still kind of go to that same route. Yes, Dalby is this, Dalby is that. I think he probably more so textbook, the better striker, and this and that. And it's probably more so going to be matter of fact, it's probably never going to be just a striking match because Alex Oliveira, at times when he fought a striker that might cause him issue, he has taken people down and shown some solid ground and pound. So he can definitely do that. So I think as far as the grappling aspect, I think Alex Oliveira with his strength will be able to get takedowns on Dalby. But I think more so on the feet, he can handle himself with Dalby as well. I think with his ability to find that right shot, land that power, I think his power is going to be a little bit too much for Dalby. Yes, Dalby has a foot movement. Yes, Dalby is good with technique and stuff. But Alex Oliveira is very good at landing his shots. And I don't think Dalby can necessarily take that power. I think even without the power, he can't really find that shot. And Alex Oliveira can use his strength to, get these takedowns, use ground and pound, and just beat him a lot of different ways. But either way, I just feel like at this point, Alex Oliveira, fighter-wise and like with their resume-wise, I think Alex Oliveira is the better fighter, and I think he's stops him in the second round. So in this fight, I have Alex Oliveira via second round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, Oleksiejczuk versus St Preux. So Oleksiejczuk is on the up, like he's on the rise. It's like he's some fighter that's been around the UFC for a while, but he's a fighter relatively new, maybe with a year or 2 years inside the UFC. And he's been on a tear. He's been coming up. He's on the come up. He's new and he's on the come up. And you got St Preux. He's been around for a while, but he's kind of on the down route. Striking never really been textbook. It's been wild, but it's effective. And now he's starting to get touched more as he gets older. It's not like that. A wild striking isn't working for him as much. Grappling is probably his most underrated aspect about him. Is the fact that he has the most Von Flue chokes in the UFC and MMA history. And then we even see him submit some decent enough grappling. So grappling is really his sneakiest area. Like he gets some takedowns, he can control you well on the ground. Striking is dangerous as well, definitely with that power, especially in his kicks. And those punches, if you get caught by those big looping punches, he can very dangerous. But right now, he's just getting like older, and people already kind of know his style. Yes, it was kind of throwing you off at first, but now you've seen him fight 20 plus times or probably 10 plus times. And it's there. He's slowing down, he's doing the same stuff, and it's easy to read. And Oleksiejczuk is not a guy that's scared or nothing, so he's going to be in that pocket. He's good at countering, good at finding these shots. I think St Preux leaves too many openings. Like I said, he's on the downtrend, and plus he leaves too many openings. You got to fight like Oleksiejczuk, who's a sharpshooter. He's going to be to see these openings and counter him, either knock him out or either way, TKO him, either catch him up top or catch him down to the body when he's swinging these looping shots, or get behind those teep kicks that St Preux might throw. And he don't even throw those teep kicks as much as he used to. Like he might throw one or two FX. He would just be firing those off, and that keeps people at bay. Now he thinks he can box or whatever he does, and just allow people to get on the inside. So it's a lot of different things going on over St Preux. But at this point, I think Oleksiejczuk is just too sharp, and St Preux is on the downtrend. So I think more so in this fight, he takes advantage of the opening, keeps finding them, eventually puts St Preux out, and I think he's going to be in the second round. So in this fight, I got Oleksiejczuk via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, Cutelaba versus Rountree Jr. So Cutelaba, just to get it straight up, he's a young fighter. He's an aggressive fighter. Technical, he's not really technical in any type of way. I know he's not a street fighter, but more so his style is he's going to get in your face, he's going to swing. That's what he does. He's going to come in good shape. He's going to be in your face the whole time, swinging, trying to knock you out, try to beat you up. And he's not really even a power puncher. He's not really that one punch knockout type of guy. He's got to be in your face and constantly punching you till you go out. We got to just touch you, you're going to go out. Even though everybody has that chance, especially at light heavyweight and heavyweight in these heavier weight classes, but he's really not known for being that one-punch knockout guy consistently. But he's going to be in your face. And I think that's kind of a bad style against Khalil Rountree, who we've seen with this new Muay Thai focus, how much he's on his toes, how much power. Matter of fact, even before the Muay Thai focus, he always had crazy power. Now being on his toes and just fighting a guy that's coming straight at you, he could really plant and land big shots on Ion Cutelaba. And Cutelaba's defense is very questionable. He's going to be right there coming that shot. And you can't be taking power from Khalil Rountree. And I think with his new style, Khalil Rountree used to burn out in the first round. I mean, now he's seen him he go 4-3 rounds hard with power throughout the rounds. And he's gonna be too fast, too sharp, too on his toes. And Cutelaba's gonna be coming right for him, and he's gonna be set up for those big shots. And I think Rountree just puts him down. So I think it happens in the first round. So in this fight, I have Khalil Rountree Jr. via first round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Gunnar Nelson versus Gilbert Burns. So very interesting matchup right here. Two solid grapplers. I think Gilbert Burns is clearly the better grappler, the more decorated grappler. Coming up from a weight class. This is his second fight at welterweight, I believe. His second fight. Well, at least going to be the fight after his jump up to welterweight, which he got a successful win. It was kind of close, but he fought a good style and was able to get that win. And now you got Gunnar Nelson, a better grappler than the last guy he fought. More well-rounded fighter, a more experienced fighter inside the UFC than the other guy he fought. Like I said, I think Gilbert Burns is the better grappler, clearly. And he might have some success taking Gunnar Nelson down and controlling him. But I think Gunnar Nelson is just a much better striker than Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is always improving his striking and stuff. But more so, he's more of a load-up type of power puncher. He's not really going to be such a technical striker, and he has questionable cardio. So those first 2 rounds, he's real dangerous because he can land those big shots, be explosive. In the third rounds, he kind of, a lot of time, loses those third rounds if he doesn't finish you, because then he's just breathing heavily. Hands start to lower down. He just open to be hit, or he's just kind of trying to bait for a takedown. It's really just not as active as he is in the first round. So in the first round, he always has a good shot. But unlike the guy he fought in his last fight, the guy he fought in the last fight was a solid fighter, but he was a slow starter, and that allowed Gilbert Burns to start a momentum, start a pace. Whereas Gunnar Nelson, he might not be like a super fast fighter, but he always maintains that same pace throughout the fight. And he's a karate style fighter. He's the longer fighter, fighting a shorter, stockier Gilbert Burns, who's going to try to get in and land these big shots. And Gunnar Nelson's going to be maintaining that distance. It's going to be real hard for him to land these big one-off shots, because Gilbert Burns really barely does combinations. So you're fighting a karate guy. You can't just beat these karate guys by just loading up one shot unless you're like Tyron Woodley or something. Because in reality, you got to throw volume to catch these guys who are going to be so far on the outside. You got to throw volume to get in, then throw volume to land those big shots, to land those clean shots. One shot just alone not going to do it, and that's what Gilbert Burns is. So I feel like Gunnar Nelson will be able to play with that range a little bit, keep the shorter, stockier fighter on the outside, trying to land these big shots, maybe he's going to try ducking for a shot, but you're ducking that, trying to get a shot from that far out. It's going to be hard to set it up. It's not like Gunnar Nelson is a slouch on the grappling either. I think Gilbert Burns can get some takedowns in this fight, at least maybe once, one if not two, but I think Gunnar Nelson can maintain it, like, he can at least combat with him on the ground, maybe get some back up to his feet, or maybe even challenge him there, but more so I just feel like he's going to win the fight on the feet, in my opinion. Keep the distance, make Gilbert Burns burn himself out with these big shots, and then start to pepper away at him. I think Gunnar Nelson beats him to decision. So in this fight, I have Gunnar Nelson via decision. Now to our co-main event, we have in the lightweight division, Mark Madsen versus Danilo Belluardo. So looking at this fight, I'm really going to get to the jump on this one. I think Belluardo, he got knocked out by more so of a grappler in his last fight, who I really wasn't impressed with as far as his striking wise. And then the guy in his next fight fought Belluardo and knocked him out, I think, in the second round. Really unimpressed with Belluardo. I don't see any skill sets that stand out with him. But he's still a pretty young fighter, so he can always grow and get better. But at this point, I'm not really impressed with him. I got to see more to even think about picking him or even waste time breaking him down. And then you look at Mark Madsen. He's a Olympic silver medalist in the most recent Olympics, like 2016 Rio. He got a gold. He got a silver medal. So silver medal wrestler in Greco-Roman. So that's very recent, very high level. You know, he might be 34, 35. He still is a medalist in the most recent Olympics. So that's a very dangerous guy right there. That high level wrestler, I think it's not nothing that Belluardo could really combat with that. So to get to the point, I think Mark Madsen is just going to just throw him around and probably submit him in the second round. So in this fight, I got Mark Madsen via second round submission. Now to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, Jack Hermansson versus Jared Cannonier. So we got a match between two guys who keep proving me wrong in a way. Like, I keep picking against them. They keep winning now. They're going against each other. I feel like Jack Hermansson doesn't really even need this fight, because beating Jacare already gets you a title shot. But it is what it is. He got to fight another fight. I think Jared Cannonier is still kind of fresh in the weight class. He beat with Anderson Silva and beat David Brandt, one guy who's not even in the UFC anymore, and Anderson Silva, who hasn't really been at that level in years. So even though he's the greatest of that weight class and probably top 3 greatest fighters in MMA history. But yeah, kind of a jumping the gun with him a little bit to give him a chance to probably even jump in line for a title shot just by beating Hermansson, even though he needs a couple more fights. But to get to the point of this matchup, I feel like Jared Cannonier in his last fight against Anderson Silva showed that he's more than just a head-hunting power puncher. He showed that, I can attack the legs too. You got to worry about your head, but I can take your legs out too. And that shows that he thinks. Even though he showed that he could think in some other fights, you kind of still see him as, this guy is just a power punching headhunter. And he does, I think, train at the MMA lab, so there's a lot of grapplers at that gym. I don't know why I'm kind of veering off with this breakdown for a second, but I'm saying that maybe his grappling is better than what I've seen. He certainly didn't get submitted by Glover Teixeira, who's a solid black belt and who was much bigger than him. So maybe his grappling isn't as bad as I thought. And I think that's a big factor in this fight. But still, even though he didn't get submitted by Glover, he still got relatively dominated. So he's a thinking fighter. He got power. He can definitely do more than just headhunt. And in Hermansson last fight against Jacare was able to have success just walking him down and going to the body, going to the head. So that's an opportunity for Cannonier. But on a Hermansson side, I see Hermansson is the more well-rounded fighter. He can win this fight by submission, and he can win this fight by stoppage. I think they're both really the same height, but Hermansson's got a weird build to him. Like, even though he's, 5'11", 6 feet, maybe 6'1", you kind of feel like he's 6'3" sometimes, how tall and long he looks and how he uses that range. So I'm going to see him as a guy that's longer and rangier in this fight. I'm going to see him as a guy that can, like I said, win this fight via TKO on the feet. He can win a decision, and he can win via grappling. I see Cannonier is a guy that can only win this fight via knockout. I don't see him as a guy that's going to go 5 rounds and go it strong or be able to distill these rounds. I see this guy that's probably might be able to steal a round or 2, but not saying him able to steal around like 3 rounds and not being able to be strong in the 4th and the 5th. We've seen in the last fight with Hermansson that he can go 5 rounds and be dangerous. You saw him put a world-class, like true world-class grappling Jacare in some dangerous positions and made him had to react and have to defend himself and put him in, make him panic a little. Well, not even really panic, but he put him in danger because Jacare didn't panic. He put him in dangerous areas, but Jacare didn't panic. But whatever the case, Hermansson is more dangerous in more areas. I feel the longer, rangier fighter, regardless if they're the same height or around the same height. I feel like Hermansson is just a much longer, rangier fighter. And I feel like he'll be able to avoid most of that power, but still got respected all the time. I think in the first round, he's going to be kind of trying to fill it out, maybe be in that danger zone a little bit more, but he's not going to be in the pocket just trading with him, but trying to keep him in that range and not getting hit by these big shots. Then maybe wear on him in the clinches around, go on like in that first round. Then this fight go on just keep wearing on him in the clinch, keep him at range when they're striking. Maybe elbow him because I don't really see no elbows from Cannonier in like the clinch range. He's more dangerous kind of like at that mid striking range. On the inside, he's not really that dangerous. So I feel like Hermansson's going to take advantage of that a little bit. And, just wear on him in this fight go on. Probably be more fireworks in the first round because, like I said, he's going to have to get in on the inside or play with the range a little bit. Then in the second round, start working with that clinch more and wear on him. Then again, in the later rounds, I think he's going to kind of take it to the later rounds to drain that power out of Cannonier and then start to get him to the ground and then attack those submissions. I think it happens in the late stage of that third round. He's able to get him down and secure a submission and tap out Cannonier. So in this fight, I have Jack Hermansson via third round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Hermansson versus Cannonier. And as always, thanks for watching.